Hello, hello, hello. This is Healing Empowered. I am Anu Abuchi and I want to talk to you about arguments. Good morning. I want to share when the arguer, have it be a male or a female, whenever they are coming at you and they're in full mode, they are wanting to talk with you, and it turns into where they're literally just critical of everything that you've ever done, and they're blind to anything and everything that they have done and are currently doing and most likely will continue to do. They're activated. They're in full blossom. All right, and this is when they are on. And before you get to these times, these periods, these events, you need to be aware that they are using words that they have been fed, they have been nourished with, and those words are all full of hate and hurt and putting holes inside of them. And so, until they fill that up with love, until they fill that up with the love of Jesus Christ, that who gives to all without finding fault, then, well, that's wisdom, but who gives love unconditionally, then it's going to be very difficult for them to even see what they are doing. So I want you also to be aware that your eloquent words and your conversational skills and your um, techniques that you learn from debate team aren't going to happen with this person who is strong in arguing. And a lot of times they may argue with themselves in their own mind, and when they're are by themselves, out loud. So when they are arguing with you, I want you to remember that they may be more skilled in arguing, and you may be more skilled in in finding a solution. And so you're not cooperating with someone, you're not arguing with someone, you're not talking with someone, you're not sitting in front of someone who is desiring your goal. Their goal is to remain in, to get into an argument and to stay there. Before, if this is the person that you have, then you're never going to arrive at a solution. They don't have one. They stay in the argument. They're gonna continue to say this and that, and you're doing this, and this is, you're the cause of what you both are experiencing. If you're in a relationship with them, if you're in a relationship with them business wise, if you're in a relationship with them in an organization or a company, let's say you just work with them. But there are some people that are want to get into an argument and stay there, and you may think that the organization or that the business or that the relationship is more superior to the subject matter that you may be arguing about. They don't. They may say that they do, but they literally do not have what it takes to arrive to a solution, because that would qualify them to be able to rest. That would require them to rest the subject matter in which they are arguing about. But how that is literally against who they are as a person. They have been oriented to remain in the argumentative stage. Unfortunately, that's who you have. So in that case, I want to talk more about what you can do. So I experienced one of their episodes yesterday, and so I am just so proud. Even though this is not one of the first time, this is the first time that I was able to hear them go through such a list of things that I have done and I am doing wrong, and that how what we are experiencing is as a result of what I have been doing or I haven't been doing. I was so overjoyed at the end, and even while I was hearing them talk, I was overjoyed with how I was able to allow their words to come out from their mouth and float in the air and not get into my mind and process, not get into my heart and impact me emotionally. So a lot of times they're going to pick and choose, and a lot of times I would think that I should bring to their awareness, they're the ones that said, just don't do this. So now that I'm not doing it, help me to understand what you're saying now. And I was not 100% silent. But silence is not your friend, and neither is intrigued silence. The silence is a tactic that you should do. When they get into these episodes, you have to practice silence before you get into these episodes. But when you find yourself in one, the first thing that you should do, and this is an entry level step, the first thing you should do is to practice being silent and come off in your facial expression, if you're very expressive with your face, um, thankful, grateful, and appreciative of what they're saying. Do not show intrigue, because even that is a gift to them. And what that is their vehicle is to use their words to um, cut you down. Your vehicle is a grateful silence. You take gas from your vehicle and you put it in theirs when you show that you're impacted by what they said. Yet you're hurt or you're affected, you're sad, you're sorrowed, you're pained by what they said. Keep grateful. It's remain thankful. And so if you're not very expressive with your face, then you can just keep that still face. I'm listening. Nod your head. Interesting. Or you can say interesting. Or you can not say anything, because a lot of times they're going to constantly misinterpret the meaning of your words. And you're just trying to follow along, but they're going to take it as you're a dagger toward them. So you don't want to prolong their episode. So the less you say, the shorter the possibility, the more the possibility that their episode will shorten. So I don't have the names and terminologies for whatever this may or may not be, as far as what the term is for this episode that they're having, but it is a cyclical thing. It is a pattern. There is another one coming, and this is how they do it. And this is something you probably did not notice beforehand, but now that you know that this is something that they constantly do, you can arm yourself with grateful silence. At the end of the day, I need you to know, per this video, let nothing that they say or do impact you emotionally. And I thought that it would help me to know that, to feel pity for the upbringing of this person. And I just think that when I'm experiencing the name calling and the hurt that they tried, you do this, I can't even believe that you do this, I just don't understand why you would think that that's okay. um I mean, I love you so much, and you're like, love, well, I don't know what you're gonna love. However, you have got to not be verbally you not be impacted by the things that they say by the end of the day, and understand that whether they say something nice or whether they say something kind, that these are all words that need to stay in the air between you. And as they step away, or will you step away, and try to allow them to literally be in control. You literally remain silent from as soon as they step into your sight, your view, until they step away. You've got to make sure that your goal is to not be offended by what they say, and also not give them gas to their vehicle. They want to talk and say, but their talking is saying negative things. Not so much that you can arrive to a solution, or how you guys can do things better, or how you can be clear on how you can be not a problem for them. So now I have here, allow nothing that they say stick, and say, don't say wow when they are talking. Oh, okay. Now, although this is an entry level, I want you to know that the level above this would be when they begin to ask you questions. Now, what I just said with those two tactics of yours, as far as like being silent and showing an expression of gratefulness and thankfulness for what they're sharing with you, even though they're insulting you, I want you and calling you disrespectful, but they're disrespecting you while they're saying a list of things that you said and did, and all these other people that they may compare you to, or this is and that. And the level above this is when they try to get you to engage in the conversation. They want you to participate as they insult you. They want you to participate as they verbally assault you. They want you to participate until they ask you a question. Don't you think that that was a very dumb idea? Don't you think that there's a way better? No, something nicer would be, don't you think that do you think that there's possibly another way you could have said that? That's a question I would ask, a healthy person would ask, a person that wants to arrive at a solution with the listener without insulting them. But they're not going to ask questions like that. Don't you think that was dumb? I mean, any sane person with the brain in their head, they would do it differently, but I just don't understand why. So it's very, just every statement is a cut away at how dumb or just undignified you are or whatever. So when they ask you a question, it's imperative that you don't get honor their invitation to be involved. How do you do that? It's with a tactic, and it's I don't know, or I don't understand your question, or can you help me to understand more about what you're saying? So, will those work? Those are something that you can try. But if they literally want you to answer, I don't think that is a great idea. Then you follow them through, intentionally trying not to impact yourself with what the negativity that they're saying. It will not help trying to get them to see how they're saying something is wrong. They don't have the ability. A lot of people that are blinded by their sin, and that's many people. They don't. You literally have to have the gift of God in your life so that you would be able to not do wrong. And even if you did, then you would have self awareness and say, I could have done that better. Or if someone called you out, you would be able to receive what they said and and honestly be able to say, you're right. To desire to do right, to have honesty, to be able to have self review, and to accept when someone is saying that thing that you did was wrong. Those were gifts from God. Honesty, being truth, these are all things that this kind of arguer would not be able to possess. So I think that when you keep those things in at mind, the truth that they don't have the ability to possess, they're probably lying. They're not transparent. They're very inquisitive about what you're doing. They snoop around in your things, but when it comes to them, mute, closed door, wall. You don't have anything to hide. Find all the stuff. Argue all you want. And but this is on your plan to, however you're going to put an end to them hearing you, you hearing them. So, but in the meantime, also know that the second level, above the entry level, is to how to engage. You ask them, oh, Tim, if they ask you, well, don't you think somebody that is smarter would do something different? Oh, probably somebody would smarter. Literally repeat the question back to them, and then as a statement, and say, possibly, I agree. No need to insult yourself as you're going this. In fact, go ahead and insult yourself in this process. It doesn't do you anything. What they're saying or doing at the end of the day cannot affect you. It makes them feel better to hurt you. And this is how you know that they are an enemy in their heart toward you, because they're going to say that you're doing wrong and you're doing bad. But it makes them, it would make me uncomfortable to have a friend or family to insult themselves in the presence of me. I want both of us to win. I see both of us as qualified. I see both of us as good and working toward goodness and aspiring to do good, to do well, to be of good service. So there are people that feel good when you hurt, when you insult yourself, when you say something stupid and dumb about yourself. And those are the people that will manifest all these kinds of argumentative behaviors. And now it helps you to not have to stay in this state of denial and justification whenever you're cooperating with them. Do not fall into that. Don't get lost into that. They want you to stay in denial, but you can come to the truth and reject them and understand that they're full of lies. Oh, okay. And so also know that their techniques is going to compare you to other people that you know. But also remember that they know people that you know. You don't know people that they know. They'll probably continue to create this mirage and keep the focus mirage concerning them and their identity and who they are. But then you are highlighted. But we're going to put you under a microscope. I was going, no, it didn't sound right. Microscope. And so when they are demeaning, disrespectful, and they begin to talk about, use that opportunity that you got, that he's talking to you or she's talking to you, or this, and a superior can be a male or a female, or just whoever this arguer is. They'll use this opportunity to also bring up some other stuff that they don't like. And you coming in 5 minutes like, what is that about? And you always wearing red. It's really giving off this kind of insinuation that you're this and that, or the way that you're pronouncing your R's. We really cannot hear you during your presentations. And the way and they'll bring up things about yourself that have just been on their heart, and they'll make it seem as though there's a plethora of people that feel this way. So, again, I am thankful for what you have shared, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. If you hadn't brought it to my attention, I wouldn't have even known. And you know what? I think that's why I have you as a supervisor, or as a partner in this team, on this team. And I just really appreciate that. And when you see that they are enjoying how they are being lifted up at your expense, it really builds up your knowledge of who they are at the core, and it is easier to part. And so these are tactics to use on the way to when you get out of their, transfer to another team, move to a different organization, get out of this relationship, whichever. But a lot of times when we get trapped and we're in they're in an episode, they want to talk to you about you and how you're the problem. You comment on the things that they say. Nothing that they say is founded. It is all baseless, and it is all an attack on you. They do not have the courage to say any of this to anybody else that probably isn't even as kind as you and as thoughtful as you. They always make sure that it's said in private. They always make sure that it is laced with an insult. So you would love to believe that maybe there is some facts in what they're saying. There is some truth in what they're saying. But the way it's delivered, that person themselves could never receive in that way. And I promise you, anyone that has the guts to talk to this arguer the way that they're talking to you, this arguer would not be able to approach them that way. They would come back and argue with you. You're easier to yell at. Don't fall for their games. And another thing, that's a lot of times they will literally accuse you of all the things that they're doing to you. Keep cheerfulness, which is given by the Lord Jesus Christ, in your heart, and keep your identity in Him. Do not get your identity caught up in any person, place, or thing, because all of this world will pass away. There is scripture that you need to use and memorize and recite it. And recite it until you believe it, and practice it. Literally ask God for this particular scripture to come into me and change my life. And Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26, that says that He will take your heart of stone and make it a heart of flesh. Will soften your heart. And when it softens your heart, just like, that's what it is, Ephesians 4:18, that says, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God, because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who, being past feeling, has given themselves up to lewdness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard Him and have been taught by Him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you put off concerning your former conduct the old man, which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in the true righteousness and holiness. We are just as evil as those who do evil to us, or who we think is evil, when we do not keep the desire to do God's will at the forefront of our mind, our speech, and our heart. Bye-bye. Have a great day.